Welcome back to Follicle Follies, my dermatology and drag series where I talk about all things hair, hair news, hair science, and a wig watch, and also styling products essential for drag queens. Alright, this is my Year of the Tiger look. Don't forget to catch up my other video where I talk about cystinosis. If you're new here, I'm Victoria Wondersnatch. I'm a drag queen who loves drag, makeup, and dermatology stuff, alright? And this is my special tribute to hair, alright? And if that's something you see, don't forget to give me a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and ring that bell for post notifications, alright? Okay, see you in a bit. Alright, to start off with, the hairlines for Follicle Follies. This time, there's a South Korean presidential hopeful who has somehow promised to pay for hair growth treatments. I thought this was really interesting, okay? Politicians don't usually want to spend a lot of money to subsidize hair growth treatments, okay? Because it's largely considered a cosmetic issue. This has been a problem for a lot of patients, okay? Well, most people have androgenetic alopecia, which is basically pattern baldness. I agree this should not be subsidized, okay? Because most people have it. I mean, 70% of men by the age of 70 will have some form of hair loss, okay? And if you subsidize that, it will drain the national reserves. But there are some forms of hair loss which are medical, okay? For example, your autoimmune hair loss, such as your alopecia areata and your lichen planopilaris, which we talked about in my last episode of Follicle Follies. Okay, I have had patients who had insurance claims denied because all forms of hair loss seem to be considered cosmetic. This is not right. All right, so I think there needs to be a lot more education and a lot more discussion about what should be subsidized and what isn't. And when you do subsidize things, these get more interest not only in the government but also in the private sector as well. So actually this actually increases research and funding for, you know, hair-related studies and everything like that. So I think in the long run, it is good that people are talking about it, but you know, we need to choose wisely which conditions we subsidize and which we don't. Next up, on hair-raising science. Okay, I think a lot of people have talked about this, but you know, because of the COVID pandemic, a lot of people have been getting hair loss, okay? And it's very common to get this condition called telogen effluvium after a bout of COVID. And this study is a systematic review, which means it looked at all the published reports of telogen effluvium after COVID. And it's pretty common. They found over 600 patients with telogen effluvium, which occurred about 2 months after COVID attack. They didn't really say how severe COVID had to be, okay? But most of these patients, about 2/3 of them, were actually hospitalized or had some sort of symptoms. We don't know whether having a mild COVID infection is associated with telogen effluvium as well, but there are other papers that suggest that the SARS-CoV-2 virus somehow attacks the hair follicle itself. So I think that's really, really interesting, and it might actually contribute to the knowledge of how the hair grows. Okay, I think this should be something that we looked into. But you know, telogen effluvium is also very common in other forms of stress. You can get it after dengue, you can get it after pregnancy, you can get it after massive weight loss, or even like operations or stuff like that. I have a lot of patients on ketogenic diets and vegan diets who develop telogen effluvium. So all these things, the physiological stress on the body can affect the hair growth. So it's very important to remember that. Okay? I didn't understand that. Oh, shut up. And moving on to Wig Watch. This time I'd like to highlight the ribbon wigs or the squiggle wigs. We don't know what it's called yet, okay? No one's ever really given a name to this kind of wig. Victoria Michaels, this other drag queen on YouTube, has done a tutorial on this and she called it the squiggle wig, okay? But you know, when you search squiggle wig, no one's really called it. It's basically this pile-on wig where they have these squiggles coming down, okay? It's been very popular last year. I think this was made popular by wig accounts like Paris Hair and Wigs by S. And of course, it really got really popular during Drag Race Holland last year. And Envy Peru wears a lot of these kinds of hair. So sometimes they'd be jewel it and everything as well. It's very striking and it seems really easy to do. You just need to pile the hair up high and squiggle it all the way down and then cover it with hairspray. A lot of queens this season have worn it. So Orion Story has worn it. Okay, Cheryl Hole wears a lot of it. Even Monique Hart has done a styling video on it on her Instagram channel. So it's a very popular style and I think we're going to see a lot more of it. The squiggle wig. And I'm wearing a mullet, which I talked about in the last Follicle Follies. And for this last bit, the product basement, because I'm not sponsored, I'd like to talk about a very useful product which I discovered. Okay, I took a course with Carl Brown and he uses a lot of pomade. Let me get it. Okay, so pomade is basically like styling wax, and this really helps to tame flyaways. I didn't use it here. Much like the other video where I talked about hairspray and really didn't use that much in my wig. I didn't really use them much in this week either, but this is really good for smoothing things down, getting the waves and getting really nice ends. So pomade is really essential for getting nice styles in your wigs as well. Alright, and so that's another episode of Follicle Follies. I hope you enjoyed it. Tell me what you want to see next week. This is still a segment in evolution. I really enjoy doing it. It's fast, it's easy, and snappy as well. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time, Snatcherinos. Bye.